You know, when you think of a desert, you probably think of silence, right? Absolute, vast silence. But what if I told you that some deserts sing? Yeah, you heard me. Today we're diving deep into one of the planet's coolest and weirdest acoustic mysteries, the phenomenon of singing sand dunes. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a movie, doesn't it? But this is totally real. In just a few dozen spots around the globe, if everything is just right, the desert stops being silent. Instead, it starts to hum. Sometimes it moans. It even booms with this deep, powerful, musical sound. So, can a desert sing? Oh yeah, it absolutely can. So let's talk about a desert's eerie song. For hundreds of years, travelers had no idea what was making this noise. You can imagine, right? Before we had the science, this sound was pure mystery and the source of some pretty spooky legends. I mean, check this out. We're talking way back in the 13th century. The famous explorer Marco Polo is trekking through the Gobi Desert, and he hears these sounds. He described them as musical instruments, drums, even the clash of arms. And what did he think it was? Spirits. Evil spirits luring travelers to their doom. And honestly, can you blame him? If you're out there alone and the desert starts humming at you, yeah, ghosts sounds like a pretty reasonable explanation. So what exactly is this sound they were hearing? Well, it's this deep, powerful, low-frequency hum. People describe it as a drone or even a moan. And get this, we're not talking about some faint little whisper on the wind. This is a sound that can go on for minutes and is so loud you can hear it from as far as 6 miles away. 6 miles? That's incredible. And the volume, wow, it can hit over 105 decibels. Okay, so what does that even mean? It means it's louder than a lawnmower roaring right next to you, louder than a motorcycle. This isn't just something you hear with your ears. It's so powerful, you can literally feel the vibrations coming up from the ground right through the soles of your feet. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how on earth does sand do this? Well, it's not magic, it's physics, but it's really, really picky physics. You need a very specific recipe, a perfect storm of conditions to get the sand to sing. First up, the sand itself. It can't be just any old sand. It has to be silica sand with grains that are nicely rounded and just the right size, somewhere between 100 and 500 microns. Next, the weather. It has to be hot and completely, totally dry. We're talking zero moisture. A little bit of dampness and the show's over. Then there's this weird third ingredient, a special coating on the grains called a desert glaze. It's a silica gel that builds up over a long, long time. And finally, you need a stage, a really steep slope on the dune, more than 30 degrees, so the sand can create an avalanche. You miss any one of those 4 things, and all you get is silence. All right, we've got the recipe. Now let's get into the physics of this hum. We're gonna zoom in. Way in. Forget the massive dune for a second. We're going down to the level of a single grain of sand to figure out what's really going on. So look at this contrast. On one side, you've got the absolutely massive Great Sand Dunes, just huge. And on the other side, that's what's actually making the music, those tiny little grains. It's kind of mind-blowing, right? That this huge sound comes from these microscopic particles. Now, here's something most people get wrong. You might think the dune itself is acting like a giant guitar body or something, but that's not it. The sound comes from the sand itself as it slides down the dune's steep face in an avalanche. In fact, you can literally scoop up some of this sand, take it to a lab, and make it sing right there in a box. The dune just sets the stage. Okay, let's get a little nerdy for a second. The magic starts with something physicists call granular shear flow. It's a fancy term, but here's what it means. As the sand starts to avalanche, the top layer basically turns into a fluid. It starts to flow. And inside that flowing layer, every single grain of sand is just chaotically tumbling and bouncing against all its neighbors, colliding about 100 times per second. Each one of those little bumps creates a tiny, tiny vibration. So one grain vibrating, you'd never hear it. It's completely silent. But here's the amazing part. The vibrations from millions and millions of these grains all start to sync up. They all start vibrating at the exact same frequency. Suddenly, all that chaotic bumping becomes one coherent hum. The entire top layer of sand starts to vibrate together, basically turning into the surface of a giant loudspeaker, pumping out these powerful sound waves. And here is where it gets even cooler. The note that the sand sings depends entirely on the size of the grains. It's not random at all. Check out this data. In Morocco, where the grains are super tiny, only 160 microns, you get a pretty high-pitched note, 105 hertz. But then you go to Sand Mountain in Nevada, where the grains are more than twice as big, and boom, the note is a deep, low 63 hertz. So it's a simple rule. Smaller grains, higher note. Bigger grains, deeper note. Just like a musical instrument.
So where can you actually go to hear this incredible natural symphony? Well, these places are rare, but they are scattered all over the globe. Let's do a quick world tour of Earth's booming locations.
Right here in North America, we've got some world-class singing dunes. You've got the Kelso Dunes out in California's Mojave Desert, which are known for their really deep, booming sound. And then there are the absolutely breathtaking Great Sand Dunes in Colorado. People have known about the sounds there for a very long time. It's part of ancient Native American lore.
But it's definitely not just an American thing. This is happening all over the planet. You've got the Gobi Desert, where our story started with Marco Polo. You've got them in the Middle East, in Oman, and all the way down in Africa in the Namib Desert. All in all, there are only about 30 or 40 of these places known in the entire world. That makes every single one of them a genuine natural wonder.
So, we've come a long way from blaming ghosts, but that doesn't mean we know absolutely everything. The science is still a bit of an unfinished symphony, you could say. There are still some debates.
Really, the biggest debate comes down to one question. Does the sound only come from that thin top layer of flowing sand, with all the grains syncing up? That's the synchronization theory. Or does the whole dune act like a giant speaker box, a resonance chamber that makes the noise way louder? For a while, people weren't sure. But the evidence now really points to that first theory. And the biggest proof? Well, like we said, scientists can make the sand sing in a lab. No dune necessary. When you step back and think about it, it's just incredible. You take something as simple as sand sliding down a hill, and under the right conditions, it creates a sound so powerful, so musical, that for centuries we thought it was supernatural. It just makes you wonder, right? If sand can sing, what other amazing secrets does our planet have hidden away, just waiting for us to find them?